What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Sauti, where we discuss current conservation topics in Kenya and Africa. Please keep the feedback coming in, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do. Without further ado, let's do this.
On our first story today, we discuss the contentious sale of baobab trees in Kilifi County. In the middle of last month, the country was alerted to the alarming and contentious uprooting of nearly 500-year-old baobab trees in Kilifi County. This exercise is part of a rumored tree exportation agreement in which 8 indigenous baobab trees are to be shipped to a botanical park in Georgia. Conservationists and the Kenyan public were outraged by these developments, especially when information of authorization and environmental impact assessment irregularities surfaced. According to The Guardian, George Vasalia, a Georgian national and botanical enthusiast, initiated this agreement in 2019 by offering local residents of Kilifi payments ranging from 100,000 to 300,000 Kenya shillings per baobab tree. He claims that he and a team of botanical experts and environmentalists have built an $11 million greenhouse in Georgia that accurately simulates the weather and humidity of Kenya's Kilifi region. He says that this is where he intends to relocate the baobab trees that have already been uprooted from Tezo in Kilifi North County. Many concerned parties have referred to the incentivized uprooting of one of Africa's most recognizable trees as biopiracy rather than legitimate biodiversity conservation. The Kenya Forest Service authorized the uprooting of these massive trees on the 1st of November. While approving the permits, KFS stated that the baobab is not a protected tree species in Kenya. The agency also confirmed that the tree is not listed in any of the appendices to the CITES, a multilateral treaty designed to protect endangered plants and animals from international trade threats. The KFS also stated that the permit was only issued after receiving approval from Kenya's environmental watchdog, NEMA, through an environmental impact assessment report. NEMA, on the other hand, denied any involvement, claiming that the alleged EIA license was improperly granted by Kilifi County's County Director on Environment. Soipan Tuya, Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry, has since revoked all movement and uprooting licenses pending the outcome of NEMA's ongoing court case. Baobab trees, commonly known in Kenya as mabuyu trees, are a unique species that are part of our country's natural heritage. As such, the state is obligated to protect them as well as the indigenous knowledge associated with the resources. Baobabs, also known as the tree of life, play an important role in their ecosystem. They aid in the preservation of soil moisture, the promotion of nutrient recycling, and the prevention of soil erosion. They also provide food, water, and shelter to a variety of birds, reptiles, and insects. As a result, there is concern that removing Kenya's baobabs will have serious ecological impacts. Researchers are concerned that Kenya will lose the baobab species to foreign multinationals who will patent their products, and that the country will pay the price for its inaction yet again, having already lost crucial species that were patented and can no longer be used for commercial purposes in the country. While halting the proposed export, Kenya's President Honorable William Ruto says the trees must be harvested in accordance with existing regulations such as the Convention of Biodiversity and the Nagoya Protocol. He added that there must be adequate authorization and an equitable benefit-sharing formula for Kenyans before any further interruptions to the baobabs is permitted. Kenya's President Honorable William Ruto announced on the 3rd of October 2022 that his government had authorized the cultivation and importation of genetically modified crops and animal feeds, lifting a 10-year ban. The decision was made at a time when Kenya is experiencing its worst drought in 4 decades, with over 4 million people facing starvation. The historic decision has sparked a firestorm in the country, with leaders and food chain stakeholders reading from different scripts in response to the move. According to President Ruto, the adoption of GMOs is the solution to Kenya's recurring cycles of drought and famine, though others believe that there are other solutions to consider first before GMOs. Because of lower production costs, the prices of GM foods are typically lower than those of non-GM foods and are readily available in the international market. Proponents of GMOs argue that the resultant crops have a longer shelf life and are more resistant to pests, which would make it a suitable option for Kenya. On the flip side, since the first GMO crop was produced in 1983, there have been significant environmental and health concerns about these crops. A study by a French scientist linked genetically modified foods to cancer, among other health threats. Some scientific findings also suggest that GMOs release toxins in the soil, enable pests to become resistant to pesticides, cause the reduction of other plant species, leading to a loss of biodiversity, and may also interfere with our country's ecological balance. In Kenya, small-scale farmers produce about 80% of the country's food. According to some activists, lifting the ban on GMOs may expose farmers to exorbitant GM seed prices, and they are likely to be trapped in debt cycles as they try pay for seeds obtained through loans. Further, lifting the GMO ban may expose farmers to draconian intellectual property laws relating to patents owned by GMO multinationals. The farmers will almost certainly be forced to pay royalties for GM crops that contaminate their fields via pollination or crossbreeding. In light of all these potential challenges associated with GMOs, conservationists are encouraging alternative solutions to the food crisis in Kenya that are more sustainable and more positively impactful to the population. Key among these alternative solutions is conservation agriculture, which aims to produce high crop yields while reducing production costs, maintaining soil fertility, and conserving water. Conservation agriculture requires 20 to 50% less labor than contemporary agriculture, and thus helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions by using less energy and using nutrients more efficiently. Simultaneously, it stabilizes and protects soil from decomposing and releasing carbon into the atmosphere. There are three main principles of conservation agriculture. 1. Minimum soil disturbance, where farmers are encouraged to plant crops directly into the soil without plowing or hoeing. 2. Keeping the soil covered as much as possible using mulch, special cover crops, or crop residues. And 3. Crop mix and rotation. For conservation agriculture to be successful, all these three principles must be applied at the same time. CA has great potential in Africa and easily conforms to an important component of the strategy for food security, poverty alleviation, and the preservation of natural resources. The most dramatic success stories of conservation agriculture in Africa come from Zimbabwe and Zambia. Beginning with a large-scale commercial estate in Zimbabwe, a combination of zero tillage and direct planting into deep straw mulch resulted in a slow but steady recovery of over 4,000 hectares of degraded land by the mid-1990s. Around the same time, a dedicated extension unit supported by donor funds implemented CA in Zambia, and currently, more than 100,000 small-scale farmers in Zambia have converted to this method. With adequate and deliberate investment, the Kenyan government can mitigate the country's food crisis without lifting the GMO ban unilaterally. The funds that have been allocated to the importation of these GMOs can be redirected to improve the capacities of small-scale farmers across Kenya to adopt conservation agriculture and facilitate their sustainability. As we conclude today's episode, we invite you to share your thoughts on today's topics by engaging with us in the comment section below.
If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends, and subscribe. If you have any questions about the topics covered today, please engage with us in the comment section below or send us a direct message on any of our social media platforms. For me, it's Asante. Until next time.